Hey guys, I'm going to show you how I did my attic access in my pole barn with the steel liner for the ceiling and how to make it look from this to this. So first step would be frame your attic access hole. You can use whatever size lumber you want. I use 2x12s because my insulation is that thick. We want to make sure that you put a overhang on there, 1/2 inch to 1 inch lip, so that your OSB panel will sit flush to it. And then what you can do is insulate above it, and then it'll slide right down on there. I'm going to be using some weather stripping to form a seal on the wood so that I can limit the airflow loss and the heat loss. So you cut your access from the panel, and it can be rough cut, doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be straight. Here I used tried to use a nibbler, but I bought one off of eBay for like 30 bucks and it worked for 6 inches. So then I just took my cutoff tool. Make sure you mark the panel both sides when you cut it out so that you can align it. So there's my mark, and it corresponds to a mark on that rib, because basically I'm going to make it so that it looks like it's one flush without a flat panel. So, you know, it just makes it look nicer. So make sure you mark it and then just cut it out. And then what you do is you put your OSB board and you cut that out. And you want to make sure that you leave some slop in there. So cut it, you know, say about 3/16, a little bit 3/16 narrower so that it slides in and out easily. And then you will just frame it up with the let's see, J channel. This is J channel right here, 3/4 inch. That's what the rib size is in here. 1 inch overhang. So I'll show you how to cut that in a second. So this is how you're going to cut it. You measure the width of your opening. So your width of your opening will be mine's 25 and 5/16. So from here to there is 25 and 5/16. And then you want to go over 1 inch on each side, or whatever the width of your J channel is. So mine is 1 inch from here to here. So you add 2 inches, so 1 inch each side, and then you take your speed square and you just do a 45. So you want to do it on either the ends or the sides. Don't do on both. Don't do 45s on both, because then you just grab another piece and it'll look like this, where you have your 1 inch and then your 45 will slide on over it just like that. So if your angles aren't 45s up there, true 90s, then this can, you know, tilt this way, go this way, so you can adjust it with that overlap of that one panel, or the one J channel. So, you know, you could cut it, you could mark it, put it up there, mark it, then recut it, but then this way you can crimp onto it. Once I get up there, you'll see it'll sit flush, because right now it's just angled. So then, so you do 45 on one, and then you just do a straight cut, just like that, because that will be the underneath. I'll put it up there and show you guys. So basically that's what the cut's going to look like. This is going to be underneath your wood up there. So you'll screw from underneath, you never see this piece. It's basically this is going to be shown. So you can see how that will look. If this isn't really that straight, you won't have a gap. So see how that works. So then you won't be able to tell that from the ground, all that little overlap. And then the top piece, you just slide it just like that. Slides underneath the wood, and then you'll nail up underneath, screw up to that wood to hold this panel or this J channel in. So you can adjust this in and out to take up any gaps. And then right here where your ribs are, I'm just going to put some closure strips, cut those closure strips and put silicone caulk down or latex, and then slide these panels over to form nice weather seal. So I'm going to be doing that. Otherwise it's pretty simple. Basically it's just the cuts. The cuts are what, you know, just I screwed up on a couple pieces, but once I figured it out, it was pretty simple. As you can see, it looks pretty. Those are just my lines from my pencil, so no big deal. This is what those closure strips will look like. You just fill those little holes up, and you put silicone around it for that lip to form like a little seal. Heat loss, less heat loss. I mean, do you really need to do that? It's going to be insulation around it. Probably not, but something simple to do. Now for underneath the lid, I used weather stripping for door seal, and then you just barely put any along there, so that just forms a seal when you drop it in. So overhangs just probably an 1/8 inch, and then put your insulation on it, and then it should just drop right in. Now that you marked up there, you put in the opening and you mark the edge of the opening up there. You can see I traced it right here. That's the edge. Now you put your jade trim and you bend that so it fits it, and you leave a little bit of gap. I left this end open so that I can slide my piece in there. But to make these corners, all you do is you measure to where your edges are, and then you cut 45s using your Freeman speed square. You just mark where you want the corner to be, and then just use your square and mark the angles. And all you do is you bend it, and there you go. Then you get your corners. Now you could mark these and cut the underneath, but then they may flail out. So I just left them tucked under. Basically, just left them tucked under. So now what you can do is you get your opening, measure that, and cut your pieces of steel, which I have over here. It was kind of dirty, and then you slide this in it. Try to do this with one hand. So you slide this in. Tucks right in. There you go. So this rib profile and everything will match that rib profile. So I'm going to wait until I put it up to fasten this on so I can move it a little bit if I need to. But it was pretty well cut square, so it shouldn't really matter. You can mark it. I made a black mark to mark it so I can slide in. This end piece, I just cut a piece of trim to fit in here. And I'll slide that right in, and then it'll be nice and good. So then that is the final product. Blends in nice and good. The seams look good. The sealant's kind of dirty from where I cut in stuff. I gotta wipe that off, but looks pretty good. Not too much to do. Looks better than just a flat piece of plywood. Just matches better, and it's not too hard to do. Okay guys, thanks for looking.